Hey, what's up, fam? I hope you guys are doing well. We had a very exhausting weekend. I had to drink on camera for a period of 2 hours while commentating on grappling. That I gotta tell you, after about the first hour, the beers start to set in a little bit. They're nice. But we had a great group and we had a fun time. And you know who else had a fun time? Two of the folks who are going to be on today's show. We're going to start with a young man who started the telecast off so well that honestly, we almost didn't even notice he got the submission. We were in the process of being talking about something, and then we look around and we're like, oh, did that finished? Oh, dope. Okay, well, good. I guess we can carry on. So we've got, I'll save the name for a second, but we're going to go to our other gentleman today, who is Charlie Gilpin, who is going to be coming on a little bit later, joining us. We are live to the live, so if you guys have questions for us, hit us off in the comments section. If you're not following us, I don't know what kind of jerk reason you got, but hey, give us some love, give us some appreciation, because the more love you give to us here, the more we try to give back to the grapplers. But yes, this weekend on Sug Island, there was some amazing grappling that we got to see, and we are very, very appreciative to not only have a gentleman here who started us off right, but has told me since that we apparently did his name wrong and didn't really say much about it. Just was kind of like, hey man, I mean, that's not how you say my name, but just so you know. But I am happy to have, as I have here on the index card, that says Cody Kenaga. Cody, how you doing, sir?
Good.
All right. Is that close enough to your name? Is that how it's supposed to be said, or am I screwing it up still?
No, that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Have you often gotten issues with your name? Like, because when I see it, it looks like a Kenaga, and to me, we participate in a sport where it's not uncommon for people to take place in a naga. They don't call it nagi.
Right. I get that a lot. I get the Kenaga a lot. Yeah. Yeah. My entire life, it kind of gets to the point where either you correct people or you don't. It's like, whatever.
Absolutely. Well, hey, first off, congratulations to you. So happy to see that you walked away with a great and impressive win over at Submission Underground. But this isn't your first rodeo with them. Tell us where you go back with them.
I actually did on, I believe it was Sug 9. I competed in the tag team match. I've done that twice. And then I did, I competed against John Samos at the first Sug Island. So, and yeah. Yep.
What is your experience like with them? Because that means that you also experienced the full spectrum of it, where you've got the crowd, and they seem like a pretty lively crowd, if I'm saying so myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you actually have to, if there is no overtime in the tag team, so it goes to crowd's decision. So you got to hype the crowd up too. You got to be exciting and you got to, take chances and escape submissions and make it fun,
How do you prepare for that when you are at your gym? So when you're doing like those hard rounds, do you have a little bit of play up work in the gym as well to be like, no, dude, you're winning, but win the crowd over, kid.
Win the crowd. Yeah. Kinda. It's the tag team is its own specific thing. You have to have your own strategy for it. It's you can't really you really have to train specifically for that. So that's kind of what we would do. We would just get a couple of us together and we would play it out just like it was the actual thing and replicate it to the best of our abilities, So
that seems to be fun. When you were told you were going to be doing the tag team grappling, had you ever trained like that before? Had you ever done anything in particular? And then how does your training look like for that particular competition mindset?
I hadn't done anything like that, but I thought I had actually watched a couple of them and I knew that they would be fun and exciting, and it's a different rule set, and I'm a competitor, so I'd like to try any rule set, points, no points, whatever. So, training for it, you have to be careful because there's more room for injury. Of course, you know, you have even when we're training in here, we go pretty hard. We're trying to tag each other and we're trying to dive in on each other, and so it's not like your average, slap bump, get your rolls in, work on your takedown. You have to worry about where you're at all the time, and where your opponent's at and where they can be tagged in. It's dynamic. It really is.
I laugh because I'm a lifelong pro wrestling fan. So there's definitely an element of you got to be able to drag that person to your corner. So it's very strange because we've done some Let's Watches along with, the previous events before. So one thing I always feel that I can speak with great authority of is being like, listen, dude, this is the wrong strategy because he's way too far out. He's got no rope break. He's got no corner man. You got to be able to get to your team. You want to put them into your neck of the woods rather than theirs.
Right, exactly. Which is difficult because you also have to get the entertainment of the engagement.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you can't just hang out over in the corner. Sometimes you have to go over and take a chance and get stuck over there. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's yeah.
Well, that's awesome, dude. Because I was watching it. And I mean, I always watch those and I laugh, but I definitely have a very good time when that is happening. So when this is coming up now, when they say, hey, listen, we're doing Sug Island, we're going to do our own thing. How did you get put on that card? Because obviously you have a relationship with them, but they're obviously looking for people who are willing to do it and know it's going to be a different experience. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, when they send me the message and they ask me if I want something, I'm a huge fan of Chell and everything they do. So when they say, hey, you want to do this? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm in, that's just kind of how like I said, I'm a competitor, man. And I like, same as you, I grew up watching WWE. So it's, when you start mixing in that, Chell's all about that,
Yeah.
He loves that part. So, and I mean, if people are going to watch grappling and they're going to be excited, it's got to have that drama, that character, that, that edge to it for sure.
Well, here's what I'm going to ask now, because you said the wrong combination of words. You said you grew up watching WWE, so now I have to test your credentials. Who was your favorite wrestler then?
I was a huge Rey Mysterio fan, but I like Eddie Guerrero, man.
Okay.
Like Eddie Guerrero. He was one of my favorites. You come out in the lowrider. Lie, still, cheat. The Viva La Heat, man. I also like the legends. I like Andre the Giant.
The reason why I ask is, and I mean, I'm looking at you, and I mean, the colored hair, okay, I kind of get you got some flavor to you, kid. But, you don't strike me as the Eddie Guerrero type because you don't look like the Lie, Cheat, Steal kid. You look like a pretty clean-cut, nice kid. So to me, that tells me you got a side to you that maybe we don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Well, good. I'm very glad. And I will say it will make me only a little bit disappointed in you in retrospect that there was no 5-star splash strategy with you and your team. Now I'm going to look back at those matches and I'm going to judge you even harsher because I'm going to be like, he could have jumped off the top of the cage right here. That would have been a perfect time for that.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I could get away with like a 5-knuckle shuffle or like the you can't see me. I wasn't sure if I could get away with that, so maybe next time.
I'll tell you this much. I'm pretty sure it's whatever makes Chael just kind of chuckle in the back. If you're up for doing some nonsense, he's probably like, hey, that looked pretty good. I like that. You guys should do 2 more of those things. So I would very much appreciate that. Let's get into this, though. Okay, I feel like I've gone too far without actually acknowledging what's going on here. Look at you. You're in a gi. So I appreciate you showing up. You're in your formal gi for a formal occasion, so we very much appreciate you making the time. But one thing that pisses me off is because we have to adhere to the rules and do all these things, that means you don't get your time to shine. That means you don't get the opportunity to talk about a very cool match and a very cool setup. So I'm going to ask you to walk me through your match. Tell me how it went from your recollection, and walk us through how you ended up getting that finish.
I honestly didn't know you. As soon as I get an opponent name, I automatically do my research, but I couldn't find much on my opponent, so I kind of just tried to stay open-minded. I've been really focusing in on leg entanglements and trying to finish off the with the heel hook and all that, but I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to use them, and it kind of worked out, kind of played my favor. I've actually been walking around and training on a completely destroyed toe. It's needed surgery for a little while, and no one knows this, but I've been just taping it up and competing. But you know how it is. Don't want to take the time off, But I'm gonna have to get that addressed. But so I knew that I couldn't pressure off my feet much or anything. Mm-hmm. So I was gonna play guard, try to get a leg entanglement, and yeah.
So that was kind of strategy, and again, it becomes one of those, you're going to work on whatever it is that you can do, and as a result of that, you're not going to worry too much about it. But I appreciate that you do try the tape, because it does frustrate me, given the modern technology, that people are like, I don't watch tape, and I'm like, how? I couldn't. Right. My brain couldn't just be like, I'm not going to try.
Right. I mean, I definitely don't worry about what they're going to do, but it always helps you where you can figure out what part of your game can beat their game. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing, so yeah.
Well, I said, I just think it's kind of silly when I see like footage exists and knowing you would kick yourself on being like, man, who knew they were good at arm bars from guard? Nobody's good at arm bars from guard. You would hate to be that guy that didn't do the homework and got caught like that. So that's more of kind of along the lines of it. It happened fast and furious, though, when you did get your finish. So talk us through the finish, sir.
Yeah, I got the reap. I believe he swept me at one point, and I got the reap right off the bat, and I used it to sweep him. As soon as I had the reap, I thought that I was going to be able to finish with a straight ankle. I attacked with a straight ankle, but he was defending pretty well, and he was pushing away. So I knew I was losing the entanglement. So I was trying to switch to different submissions and attack and give him different looks to defend. And I ended up attacking on the opposite leg for a heel hook and a straight ankle lock. And I couldn't get a good enough bite on the heel hook to get a good finish, and he kind of just chillaxed for a minute. So I had a hold of his foot, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna crank on the old toe hold right here, and it played out. It worked. I figured it was we were gonna scramble. I figured it would, and he tapped. So I was like, all right, cool,
Yeah, toe holds tend to have that very strange reaction of, nobody's going to respond to it. They'll just be like, fuck it, dude. I eat toe holds, kind of a look in their face. Or somebody's just kind of like, yeah, I guess we're done here. All right, well, that was fun. Yeah. So to us, we thought it would be transitionary as well. And I think, we did a let's watch for it, and we were enjoying it. But I think one of the guys had to say on live on air, like, oh, we're done. It happened. And all of us were like, oh shit, that happened. That was quick. All right, well, good for them. All right. So that was something that we were stoked about. Talk to me about the experience of doing it without the crowd, because one of the issues, I know we mentioned it just a little bit up above, of the difference with the crowd, but is it confusing when they say like, all right, no fist bump, keep your distance, and now we're in engagement, but keep your distance, assholes.
Right. Yeah, it's a little weird. And it's eerie quiet in there. It's so quiet in there. I mean, there's only 3 people in that entire room, so every cough, slam, everything. You can hear all of it. You can hear your opponent breathing, everything. But yeah, it's a bit awkward to not be able to, just come out, slap hands, fist bump, at the end, kind of help your opponent, kind of, good job, man. You're not really supposed to do that. It's supposed to separate, and it's different, but it's also nice because you don't have any other distractions. So in a way it's nice, but I don't know, man. Something about that crowd,
Yeah.
Got that crowd.
Well, let me ask this, because we're going to get into a little bit of your backstory, but I kind of want to put a nice button on you with this particular event. And one thing on the button that I told you off air that I always feel bad about is you don't necessarily get your time to say your post-fight speech. So I thought I would be like, hey, dude, why don't you have the ability to go ahead and do your post-fight speech here, man? So let's kind of take ourselves back to it. I'm going to use this pencil like a microphone. And I'm going to say,
All right.
Hey, listen here, Cody. That was an amazing finish. Should I do it as Chael? Yeah, that's what I'll do. Cody, that was an amazing finish. You were impressive out there. What do you want? What are you looking at beyond here, young man?
Just looking to improve and compete as much as possible. Any weight, any person, anytime, anywhere. You know how it goes.
I definitely do.
I'm just, I'm a competitor, man. Like I'm not looking for any easy road. And like I said, if you call, I'll show up. So.
Well, is there somebody that you'd like to call out right now?
That's not really my style. I don't really.
All right, this interview's over. I'm done with this, kid. You're never coming on another SUG ever.
Right. No, I'll take on whoever, man. Honestly, that's where I'm at.
That's good stuff. Yeah. And I'm glad that you do get the call, because look, right behind you, this is why you've got essentially artifacts that are SUG friendly. You've got the medal right over there with your athlete badge behind one of the main posters behind it. And here's the weirdest part that I don't know that a lot of people are picking up on, but like there's a subliminal message in the background if you see just his camera, where just you see the top part of the word champion. Like, we don't know what it says, we just know champion. So if you look at it, it makes you think like, bro, none of us know what that's for. For all we know, it could be like bowling champion 2012, but now we all gotta remember this guy. This guy's for real. He's a champ, dude.
Maybe it is a bowling trophy. Who knows? You'll never know.
I mean, we could very much ask you to just move your camera, but I'm not going to do that. Let's get into the deep cuts, kid. Right. I want to know a little bit about you. Where does your jiu-jitsu journey begin?
I started training when I was about 17 years old at really pretty much in the above my high school. My very first instructor, that's where he started, just a couple mats, couple of us. I somehow got the invite to come train with them. I was just a 17-year-old kid, getting into fights in school and stuff. And, not fighting. Thought I was fighting, but wasn't.
Well, let's talk about this. I have to ask this for kids who get into fights. How would you look back at your form? You said you weren't really fighting. What would you compliment yourself on from those fighting days? Because, you don't just get to where you are now without having something from those days.
I think it's just the same thing, man. Like, I would fight whoever, I went through a time period where Kimbo Slice everybody was watching Kimbo Slice fights. So everyone in school would try to set up fights, So it's like, you'd be like, hey, I wonder what would happen if this guy fought that guy. Sometimes you end up being that guy. And so they're like, hey, you want to, and we thought we were fighting. We weren't fighting, but, it's I would say It's I mean, I was getting into like actual altercations too, like everybody else does. So I just I knew that from watching people that could fight, because the UFC was a thing, and Chael was in his prime at that time. So I mean, watching those guys, I was like, oh, that's real fighting,
Yeah.
So so I was like, I gotta seek that out. But yeah, man, just backyard, nonsense.
Hey, man, I mean, look at where it brought one Jorge Masvidal. He was known
Right.
as one of those guys, and now we know him as a legitimate contender
Right.
who also plays it up and looks like Scarface half the time. So, like, he knows columns A and B pretty well. One of the things I tell people famously is, like, when I was playing other sports, I wasn't doing, like, wrestling or contact sports per se for martial arts. I was doing like soccer and football and track and all these other sports. But the one thing I did know is whenever my buddies and I would kind of like mess around, I was just highly durable. And then lo and behold, when you start jiu-jitsu, you just get your ass kicked. And so one of the first compliments I always got was like, all right, you're still around. And they'd be like, yeah, it's kind of my gift, One of my friends famously dubbed me Bishop. He'd be like, dude, it feels like everything we use, you just turn against us. And I'd be like, I wish it looked cooler. But yeah, that's essentially what it comes down to. All right, so these fights happen back, in the yards of all the different guys. You said that there's something above you. Let's pick back up from there.
What do you mean?
For your backstory.
Oh, yeah. I started training at 17. Like I said, just fighting and stuff like that. And then I was only training like once or twice a week, so I wasn't really progressing. But at that time, I didn't really have any interest in competing. So, but we mainly did jiu-jitsu, but some of the guys were also active amateur fighters. So at that time I was watching them also. So for a while I wanted to fight mixed martial arts. So that was my main focus up until I was about 20, I would say. And then I've had 3 amateur fights. And then at 20, everything kind of shifted for me. I for some reason, grappling has always been like my strong suit, kind of what I gravitated towards the most. So at about 20 is around the time when Meta Morris, all these big, the Jeff Glover, all that started kind of blowing up a little bit, and it caught my attention. And I'm like, oh, so you don't have to train jiu-jitsu so that you can do MMA. You can train jiu-jitsu and specifically compete at jiu-jitsu. I had done some tournaments up until that point. I think I started competing whenever I think I did my first tournament, like pretty early on. I did my first one, but it was like I said at the time, that Naga was the biggest and best tournament. Like, if you seen a purple belt, that was a big deal. If you seen a black belt, that was like a unicorn. So yeah, I just competed a little bit, but I didn't really take it serious. And then at about 2021, there was tournaments everywhere. I'm actually from the Midwest. I recently just relocated here to Oregon. And
what part?
I mean, Missouri, actually.
Ah, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's filling in some gaps here. I kind of can see this. All right.
Yep. And yeah, I just about 2021 just kind of focused on only jiu-jitsu. I stopped doing striking. Just started rolling more. Started going to different gyms to learn different styles and cross training. And then I've competed pretty much all over the Midwest. So
do you ever miss the Midwest because People from the Midwest love to tell you how wholesome and great those people are. And I lived out there for a while. I was doing school out in Illinois, and then I went to do master's work in Kentucky. So I lived out that way. I served my time, is what I like to tell people. And for a good period of 5 years of my life. And I really did like the people, and I loved so many elements of it. But I'm from California, so I came back home when I was done. Do you miss any part of it, though?
Yeah, I mean, I do. There, I don't know. That's where I spent the majority of my life. So, of course, that's home. I refer, but I just wanted to see other things, and I spend a lot of time outside, do a lot of nature, a lot of camping and hiking. So, can't beat the mountains and the ocean right here. You don't get that, So
No. I mean, dude, I've been to Portland. It's been a hot minute since I've been there, but it was beautiful, dude. I loved living out, or not living, but when I was competing, I used to compete for speech and debate, and we had tournaments that would go out there. And one of my best national tournaments that I ever did was out in Portland. So it was like, it looked beautiful, and then you're like getting all this gold and winning, and you're just like, oh, like it's beautiful. It's like, get a photo of me with this. That looked great here, So I have very fond memories of that place. Okay. Can I ask the question that I love to ask this of the guys who we interview for the very first time, which is, when did you fall in love with jiu-jitsu? Because it takes something to say, hey, this is a fun hobby, or this is a good sport that I like, to really become obsessed and train like you do, where it's consistent and it becomes more of a profession.
It's honestly been probably the most consistent thing in my life. So whenever any opportunity that I got to focus on it and work on it is kind of you hear a lot of people say it. It's kind of cliche, but it's an escape, and it's a form of therapy. And for me, since I was 17 years old, I've kind of I've had my run-ins with some trouble, and I would have definitely been in a lot more trouble, or other places, if it wasn't for jiu-jitsu and martial arts. So I would say I fell in love with it pretty much when I was 17. I mean, as soon as I started doing it, one day wasn't enough. When I was training one day, I would literally go home, be like, hey, invite my buddy over, and I'd work techniques on carpet. You know what I mean? Like, obsessed. Yeah, man, I've loved it probably since 17, since I've started.
Don't worry, that's pretty much all people are doing right now. So you're essentially ahead of the curve. That's the weirdest part about right now, is just, everybody's doing their Zoom warm-ups and getting all that sort of stuff. But I gotta tell you, with people who are in a house together, they're like, oh man, we're getting a little sweaty and we're training this, and like, I'm looking at my wife and she's like, nah, it's not.
Nah.
You're not.
Yeah,
you're not.
My wife's the same. Yeah.
You're not heel hooking me.
Yeah.
That's pretty dumb. Right. So enjoy this beer and enjoy this food while you can, and know it's gonna suck when you go back. And I'm like, oh god. Right. Every day it just feels like, oh man, this is gonna blow going back. That's really amazing, dude. And do you ever have that feeling of wanting to go back to MMA? Are you solidified in knowing like the jiu-jitsu is the right place to be?
Yeah, I mean, I do have that urge, everybody likes to make that walk, and there's just something about when you do a fight camp and you're in really good shape, and, you're just like fine tuned and you're getting ready to go to battle. I mean, that is fun. I do like that, but, jiu-jitsu, I can kind of get the same out of that with grappling, and I don't have to take the punishment. You know what I mean? So,
and we're starting to get more people now who are making shows that do replicate the walk, just in the jiu-jitsu form.
Right.
Because I gotta tell you, dude, the first time I saw GSP do that like train going out kind of a thing, and then you watch Gracie the old trains, and then you see all the like Gracie versions of it when you get more deeper into the sport, you just kind of go, oh, that looks cool. And then now it's evolving where if that was the coolest entrance in the UFC, you see Izzy coming out and doing a breakdance, and you go, oh, it really is what you make of it. Half of these guys
Right.
want you
Yeah.
to do something like that, just as long as you're safe and you keep yourself in a pretty good shape. But like, we're getting to a point where showmanship is more important.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. I definitely agree.
That's amazing, dude. I've been so curious to ask that because for me, when I see somebody who moves and transplants themselves, obviously you mention it for the nature and for all of that element of being in that surroundings. But what attracted you to coming out here? Was it going to a gym? Was it the appeal of kind of doing stuff out in a different space for jiu-jitsu? Like, what was the appeal of coming out west this way?
Um, there's multiple reasons really. One of the main motivations was one of my really good friends passed away. He was one of my closest. He was a really close training partner, and I took some time off, and I had some things going on, and I really just sat down and thought about it, and I was like, well, I want to go somewhere where, I get the nature and, the ocean, but I want to take this stuff serious, and I want to, do what I can with it. So I knew I would have to come closer to one of the coasts. It was easier for me to come this way because I already had family that had came this way, so it was a little easier transition for me to come here. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tournaments around here, mainly in the California area, not so much in the Oregon area, but the quality of the tournaments and stuff it's different, and there's more competitors this way. The Midwest has great tournaments. There's a lot of like the AGF, the Submission Challenge. Those are probably some of my favorite tournaments. But yeah, man, I just knew I had to come this way, and yeah.
I mean, you're not alone. There are a lot of guys who I know specifically who come out for tournaments to us out here on the West Coast because they are pretty good. And it's no disrespect to anybody in different places, but like when you have a real mecca of jiu-jitsu in Southern California, I ask people, what brings you to us, and they say like I want to get that competitive vibe, and mentally there's something about where Worlds and all these pans, all these places where the major events take place that they think, oh, going there means I'm gonna go there and win that. So mentally they get into that space as well.
Right.
So when people ask me, they're like, hey Raph, when are you coming to this gym, or when are you flying out to this gym? I'm like, you guys come to me. I don't go
Right.
anywhere. This is great. Like if I move or go somewhere out of state, it means there's usually an event I'm commentating or some big thing that's going on. But no, I'm spoiled, dude. So you guys come to me and I'll find a place for you to train that I think will be fun. So that's usually my MMO and whatnot. You were mentioning this, and I'm curious about it because I got a few things that are a little bit off topic in terms of understanding a little bit more about you. Number one, you say that you are doing stickers. You're starting to sell stickers, and that's coming through and something that you're planning to do. When you say stickers, what do you mean by it, and what are we looking to do with these stickers, and where do you suggest putting them?
Honestly, they're just artwork that I've been working on. And
do you draw them, or do you export them and come up with the concepts? Like, how does that work?
It's a mixture of both,
Okay.
actually. 'Cause I mean, sometimes it's just lettering, so it's just
Gotcha.
words, and but yeah, some of them I do. I draw. I do most of it with my iPhone, and I just come up with the sketches and things that I think are cool. I have a couple of them. I have like a leg locking is not a crime one. Yeah, I have one that has like repeated jujitsu. I'll show you actually.
Ooh.
I've got
Oh, that's cool.
right.
Yeah.
It says jujitsu consistency. Leg locking's not a crime.
That's great. That's a really good type font for that.
Little arm bar.
Though to be fair, and this
just,
is nothing against you or anything like that. I just hope you understand that when you put up that particular sticker and the camera doesn't autofocus, it looks like it's blurring out something that would appear on Pornhub on broadcast television.
Dirty.
Yeah, because when you put that up there, I was like, oh, I think that's cool, but hold on. What are they doing to each other? Are they friends? I don't know. That's very confusing.
Yeah. But yeah, they're like I said, it's in the. I'm just starting, so they're available on. If you want to message me, I have no problem sending them because I only have a couple designs. I only have a handful.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, I have my Shopify site. I'm getting ready to get it going, and they're high quality. I went through a couple different companies to see what I thought was the best because I know when I get stickers, especially Jiu-Jitsu stickers, everybody loves Jiu-Jitsu stickers, right?
Yeah.
But when I get them, it's like they go on my cooler or my water jug or my notebook. So I just kind of had that that thought. Because there's design. You see cool designs, but sometimes it's cool to see, leg locking is not a crime, or
I'll tell you this much, man, and I'm glad you're doing it because I want to say maybe about 4 years ago. I don't know if you ever used to come out here for Pans or Worlds whenever they'd be at the Long Beach Pyramid, but they used to have a place that they designated as acai jail. And, at Verbal Tap, we haven't done a ton of merch. We've always tried to keep it pretty simple. But there was one day where I was like, yo, somebody needs to make a shirt that says acai is not a crime. And I was literally this close to telling someone to make the shirt. I had gotten it kind of out there, and we were talking with people, and it just fell through, and I was pissed at myself. And I go to Worlds that year, and then all of a sudden... somebody tells me, they call me and they go, Raf, you can take the acai out of acai jail now. You don't have to stay within that little space. And I was like, oh my God, thank God. Oh God. I would have wasted so much money to do a one big joke. Stickers are a much better venture because I like that. That the blocking, especially for leg locking, is not a crime. And I mean, dude, here's some suggestions to you. I'm just a marketing guy. I only know that sort of a thing. Next time you told a motherfucker, have one of those on you, dude. Have one of those things directly to the camera. If you can't get your words out there, you need to have that in some sort of weird, where you can put your mouth guard. You put that in the shorts or whatever. It seems like you guys are wearing 19 pounds of clothing now on these tournaments.
Yeah, I know.
But put it somewhere there. And then when you win, especially by a footlock of some sort, hey, look, listen, branding.
Right. Genius. That's true. That's a good idea.
You're welcome. I just want 10% of your overall gross net royalties. And, I mean, I was so excited to see you have a great performance. One of the things that excites us when we watch these things is I get to know a little bit about performers that I don't necessarily... I don't know in person. And I'd seen you compete at other ones, but I thought it was pretty cool. And I like those guys who, in a very uncertain time, are trying to step forward and say, listen, we just kind of want to do something. It sucks. And I think we're in a very precarious spot where it's going to be a while. So I hope that you understand your talent and your time was appreciated. But let's talk a little bit about this. Who helped you get ready for this competition as best they could? And I'm sure most of that training had to come even before any of this was a thing.
Right. I have to give a shout out to the gym I'm training at right now, Solid Base Grappling Academy. It's kind of like I said, it's a smaller gym. So, but I have a black belt on tap. So I can send him a message, and then we come in here, we get rounds. He critiques my technique. We were literally actually just going over some toe hold finishing mechanics the week of. So I just have to give a shout out to all those guys for sure, because without them, everyone there, and then past, future, and present training partners and, you know, those guys too. So
one thing I'm also trying to do right now, especially for those guys that step up, is I want to give you kind of an opportunity to make your plug to all these other matchmakers. You know, tell them right now, because we don't got events per se, but I'm hearing word a lot of people are starting to make plans for those next events. So if people are looking for athletes to put on their next events, pitch yourself. Tell them why they should go ahead and bring you in on one of those next events. I'm sure you're up for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I like I said, I'll do whatever pretty much, rule set wise, and I'm not looking to really call anybody out or anything. I'm just trying to get better. I'll take whatever matches I have to, and yeah, I'm game. Just slide in those DMs, you know.
This is no. Hold
and
on.
I'm game.
Hold on. This is. I just want to tell you what it sounds like to the guy who's listening on the other side. You went from "I'll do whatever" to slide into these DMs, and I'm not sure we're sending out the right signals here. So, you know, we could work on the messaging, obviously, until the cows come home. But I just want to make sure that those guys who are like they sitting there, matchmaker, going like, does he want me to give him a fight or fuck him? I'm not really sure.
Right.
This is confusing, but some matchmakers might do both. So there is definitely that. Listen, kid, I think that you know, I have to ask this too. Did you get a chance to see any of our Let's Watch of You? Did you take a moment to see? I know we put up a clip, and I know you saw that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually watched the entire podcast that night.
Oh, okay. What'd you think?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, you know. It was cool. I think Star-Lord and but
I'll tell you this much, in real life it's pretty much like that too. But
yeah, I figured. But yeah, shout out to Jordan actually. He's from the same area. We used to run into each other quite a bit at tournaments and stuff. So super cool guy.
Yeah, he was really funny when he mentioned that, you know, because I send the card to the guys beforehand, and I asked them to try and become experts at 2 of the matches, and, you know, it's not like the names changed. So your name was clearly on there, and Jordan, like, midstream is like, oh my God, I know that guy. And you're like, how did you not know when the name was on there? And he was like, no, I know him. Oh, dude. And so we all had a very good laugh at his expense. Well, I'm glad you watched it. I'm glad you enjoyed it to some extent. But I hope you know that whenever we do these, it's out of the love that you give to the people at your gym, of roasting the shit out of them to the point where we create a little bit of fun on the side where I just posed it to the guys as, I think Jiu-Jitsu needs a win, and let's kind of come together and give a win, was the way I pitched it. I was like, I think we need to have some fun and do something that's getting us out of where we are and makes us a little bit more accessible to the masses. And that's kind of what I do on my side. So, you know, big ups to you and all the guys that stepped up for that. And I was ecstatic we were able to make this work on such a quick turnaround time. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to force you, because I know you were training beforehand, to go out, shower, because that's your responsibility now. That's a thing. Get yourself cleaned up, kid. I appreciate you taking out your time. Plug all your shit. Show us, tell us where people can find you, and if they are so inclined when they come into your neck of the woods, where it is that they could come to train with you, man.
The gym, Solid Base Grappling Academy. It's located here in Pendleton, Oregon. Yeah, and then my Instagram is just Pressure Jiu-Jitsu.
I guess I didn't ask why that. Why Pressure Jiu-Jitsu?
It's kind of a funny story. I actually have I have a tattoo of a piece of coal that starts. It's white and black, and it starts as a piece of coal, and it progresses, to a diamond, and the diamond is black, and it's the belt colors. It's the white, blue, purple, brown, black. So, and then it says pressure makes diamonds. So I just thought, it's kind of funny because I'm not a pressure heavy guy. I'm more of like a technical trickster type of guy, you know.
What the fuck is this false marketing then? What, dude? You're like, oh man, pressure jiu-jitsu. Hint: I'm actually not very good at pressure.
I'm actually, yeah. I mean, I apply the pressure.
Okay.
I apply the pressure, but yeah.
Well, here's what we'll do. The next time, we'll force you to show us off the tat. Because I think that's pretty cool. I mean, the way you're describing it, I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. I know one of my buddies, his nickname moniker is the Diamond. And I want to be like, bro, you don't have a tattoo of a fucking diamond, so I don't even know, man. Like, I think you're kind of whack now, comparatively. This kid's got a dope, like, Captain Planet fucking bring them all together diamond with all the belt colors. What do you got, you know?
Right.
Well, listen, my man, I'm so glad we got to chat a little bit about it. I'm very excited for your continued success. I look forward to it. They're always good to the people at SUG, I notice, in terms of making you guys a brand and a thing. And one of these days, I'm sure I'll get out there and go visit one of those events. But in the meantime, because it's probably going to be a while, I would say to you, man, thank you very much for your competitive spirit, your efforts, and I'm glad you had a good time, and I'm glad you got the finish, man. So big congrats to you.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Nope.
Thank you for the time and the interview and everything. Thank you.
No problem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Cody Kenaga. I got it right?
That's right.
Beautiful. All right, kid. I'm going to catch up with you a little bit later. Appreciate him, even though it should be Cody Kenaga, but I'm not going to tell him any differently because he has fought MMA and I have not. So my appreciation to that young man. We're going to be pulling on Charlie Gilpin in just a second, but before we do, a nice reminder to you guys. If you are not, and I mean this, if you are not following us on the Instagram, on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook, what is wrong with you? It's mean. Find us at Grappling Hour on all of those places because that little bit of help you give us helps us to get more and more individuals to watch our show, gets more individuals to be stoked about it, to ask these guys questions. And don't be afraid to ask questions while we're live on the air. The whole thing about it is we like to be able to ask these guys questions that you guys have as we continue to go ahead and produce fun things for y'all. So we're actually right now about to make contact with one young Charlie Gilpin. So we're going to see if he is coming on. If he is, and it does look like he is answered, remember, he is coming on live. So if you guys hear any technical difficulties, it's your fault, not mine. Ladies and gentlemen, I do believe he is on air. Charlie, can you hear us, sir?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can I see you? Can you press your button for the video now?
There we go. I think we got it.
Beautiful. Hey. Look at that young man. All right. Charlie Gilpin, very big success over the weekend. First and foremost, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem, man.
The world.
Let's say this. First of all, what did it feel like to get the call for this particular submission underground? What did that mean to you?
So the training was a little bit different, so it made the nerves a little more present, but it was a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed it. They did a great job with the whole show. They're really clean about everything, and yeah, no, I enjoyed it.
When you arrived at Sug Island, is how they're kind of dubbing it. What does that process look like? Like, take us through what happens, because all of us just see what looks like you're in a barn or an abandoned little factory or some sort with the cage in the middle and then just vast open space where no seats are seen.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. Like I said, they told me to show up alone to a specific location. We'll all meet up here, then we're going to drive to the location. So nobody really knows where we're going. We just kind of end up somewhere. But you show up, they check you in, and you kind of see inside the area. It's pretty cool. You just see the cage and then no chairs, nothing, man. It's way different than anything I've ever done.
I think it's pretty entertaining, though, that we all, as we're watching it, see you guys kind of experiencing it in real time. So we see you all kind of being like, okay, this is the life that we're doing right now. So talk us through this. You've done Submission Underground before?
Yeah, I've actually done 2 tag team matches. I think I did Sug 8 and Sug 10, I want to say. I did a match with my black belt coach Gustavo Bessa, and I did a tag team match with my purple belt teammate Giancarlo, and we won both those matches.
Which, congrats. I
Thank
have
you.
to ask about the preparation for tag team grappling because this has been something that I've long been pushing for, and I think submission grappling was the first to make it happen. And I was looking at it from the sense of nonsense because I
Definitely.
enjoy craziness in it and making things interesting every once in a while. How do you prepare
Absolutely.
for
Oh man.
that?
What a lot of people don't see is that it's really not jujitsu. It is, but it's not. There's game plan to it. So my goal isn't to just submit them wherever they are. My goal is to get the guy to my corner, and then we're gonna tire him out, beat him up, and then eventually we're gonna get a submission. So it's not about getting an a good position on your opponent. It's more as about getting a grip and getting him back to your corner.
Absolutely, and I'm always pleased to hear people say that because of the following reason. I was just talking over with Cody about this, and as a lifelong pro wrestling fan, when I see these guys who don't know how to utilize good tag team strategy, nothing makes me madder. Like when you don't pull the guy
Yeah,
over to the
exactly.
corner, I literally look at them and be like, "Are you even paying attention? Do you even know why we're doing this? You want to be able to gang up on this dude. Like, don't let him back into his corner. It's gonna kill a whole
Hmm.
amount of time."
Yeah, did you get a chance to watch the Nicky Rod Craig Jones tag team match?
Yeah, I've yelled at both of them for that.
Yeah, it was rough to watch, but I mean, that's what happens when you put the best guys in the world with that much money on the line. I mean, they're not trying to go out there and put on a show. They're trying to win more than anything.
I mean,
So,
we redeemed it with Craig over the weekend, which, by the way,
yeah, yeah, impressive win. That was insane, man.
when you're there, though, do you immediately leave right after? Like, what happens there?
Yeah. So they had us leave after. I went out to the tents that were outside, hung out for a little bit, like maybe a couple matches, watched it on the screen, and then I took off.
Makes
I
sense.
watched it later that day with my dad. Dad, though, we watched the whole show. Man, that was disgusting. Especially, I thought it was really funny because he was saying leg locks don't work all week, and then gets his leg broken. It's the best part.
I mean, I'll tell you this much, dude. I've interviewed all of the people involved. So, from the tag team match, Craig is a friend of the show, and obviously we've interviewed Vinny, and he's a friend, and Nicky Rod is, I think that was one of his first interviews. Like, all these guys are tight with us. So to see them put a dud burger of a match together, when we interviewed Nikki afterwards, I was like, you guys just, like, god damn it.
I'm
Like, this is so
glad you got a
boring.
chance to talk to.
Oh, and Craig and I were messaging each other. And I just remember telling him, like, you're going to have to go on an apology tour for how bad that match was. And he just
Oh,
goes,
and you know Craig will too.
oh, yeah. And Craig was sending me notes being like, before he made it public, he just goes, I'm trying to give Chael the money back. And I was like, just take your money, you stupid foreigner. Just
Hey, fuck Craig Jones, huh?
exactly. But the thing I was happy about was, as much as I like Vinny, that's the stupidest hashtag in the world. So I was just glad we got to kill the hashtag and be done with it. Does your dad
Yeah.
train, by the way, or what is his deal?
No, my dad just loves watching me compete, man. I've watched UFC
Beautiful.
with him since I was little. He's always supported everything that I've done. So
Well, that's great.
yeah.
Because the next question is, what was your dad's reaction to that foot break then?
To what?
To Craig
Oh
finishing off Vinny?
man,
Because to
I
us,
think you can hardly watch it, man. It was nasty, making people puke almost. Like
because to all of us who do jujitsu, it's uncomfortable, but we definitely have a little bit of a tolerance to it where we just go, yeah, all
mm,
right. I
yep,
always feel like civilians and people who don't train, whenever you show it to them, there's an element of, oh, why do you guys do this? Like, why is this a thing?
you wouldn't understand.
Yeah. All right. So obviously you've had your time with Submission Underground before, and it's gone well. And obviously they give you the call to come do this one. Walk us
Yeah,
through your match here, because again, credit to you and even Cody. Like, we were watching and we're watching intently, but both of you
yeah.
guys
Fun
had
fact, real quick.
moments.
Actually, my last tag team match was against Cody. So shout out to Cody.
I did know that, and you had offered to come on very nicely when I was messaging you off air, and you were like, "Hey man, I'm ready to go," and I was like, "No, no, no, I'm not promoting you guys doing this." I was like, "I'm going to give you guys each your time,
That's
because
very
I want to make sure that after you guys win, you actually get to talk, because that's something that is missing. So,
mhm.
but Cody's great, and I like that he had great words to say about you
Yeah,
as well. So that's not
appreciate
the
that.
issue. The issue is you're doing this event. You get to do something amazing again. It's quiet. You can hear a pin drop in there. But tell us a little bit about your match. Walk us through it.
Okay, yeah. So coming to this match, I believe in my jujitsu. I believe I got really good jujitsu, and I have a lot of attacks from various positions. Coming to this, I kind of figured this guy was gonna be playing for overtime. So I started out slow, feeling him out a little bit, and then when he'd come and attack, I'd have a counter ready and available. So I knew when he'd shoot in for that single leg, I'd have the Kimura would be right there. So when I get to that position, my main goal it wasn't to finish the Kimura because I'm anticipating the roll through. So when I grabbed the Kimura and I rolled through, I heard some popping in his shoulder and I heard him go tap. So that's when I immediately let go. But the ultimate goal in that would be I would roll through and then end up in a T Kimura position, and from there I'd have various attacks I could go to.
I mean, it was an aggressive transition. I think
Mm.
that was what was so. Uh, we weren't surprised that it was a finish as much as we were impressed by the transition work from you, because it not only became almost like this sweep, but like this kind of compromise situation where even if you're trying to roll out, you can't.
Yeah, it's a tough position, man. Once you get that Kimura locked up in that position, it's hard to get out of that.
Or is that like a money position for you? Because you look like you grabbed that and had it pretty secure.
It's definitely a position that works well with me. I'm really long, and I've past year or so I've gotten really good at using my length, so it's been a good position for me.
Okay. All right. All right. So, what happened when that? Because we had a night full of people kind of being super nice to their guys that they were competing against and being like,
Yeah,
"Bro, it didn't look good." Like I heard it was a verbal submission or a verbal
yeah.
tap. Hold on, just that there real quick. I heard it was a verbal tap. So walk us through how that happened on your side, because did you expect that to happen or did you hear it? Like what happened?
No, I wasn't expecting a tap. I was expecting him to roll through and then end up in the position that I want to end up in.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went to go roll back, I heard some popping in his shoulder and it didn't sound too good. And then I heard him go tap, and then that's when I started to let go immediately.
Yeah. Was he okay? Did it just seem to be in the
Yeah,
moment?
he was good after, and I mean, you could tell that when we rolled through, he was gonna start going again. Like he didn't tap, but he knew he tapped, and I respect that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, again, we saw a lot of guys brave through things that we were like not necessary over that weekend. One of the things I thought we would do here, because you didn't get the chance to, talk afterwards, and one of the things I do respect about Sug is they definitely do seem to try and give you guys some airtime if they can.
Yeah.
So I thought right now we'd give you an opportunity to talk as if you wanted to say something afterwards. So
Okay.
I'm gonna put on the fake Chael voice. I'm gonna
Okay.
do one
Sure.
of these. Here we go. That's that way. I'm gonna say, now listen here, Charlie. A hair color's so nice it readjusts the color on everyone's TV set. Tell me, man, what are you looking to do next here at Submission Underground?
I'm always looking for the next challenge, man. Whatever they got for me, whatever they want to throw my way, whatever belt, I'm always looking to move on up. And I just want to thank my gym, Brazilian Top Team, Happy Valley. Everyone there is always so supportive. They always got my back through and through. Every time I want to jump on these cards, they'll go and harass the Submission Underground promoters, stuff like that, to get me on the card. It's great. But
Well,
yeah, no,
they were truly a Happy Valley here today, so I know that for sure. Is there anybody you want to call out for next time, young man?
uh, I don't know, man. I don't normally do call outs, but
Nah, you're all boring. All right, no more interview. This interview's done. You think again? That's not me speaking. That's Chael. You
yeah,
think
no
that
worries.
Chael's gonna sit there and be like, "Cool, don't call anybody out," because that's what I
No,
want.
he'd move on too.
Absolutely. Well,
Hey, that
again,
was a good Chael impression. I like it.
it's okay. It's passable. I just like to say he's as much of a cartoon character at times as I will make him. So I feel like it's a fun diversion. We also discovered during our telecast that Jake Watson has an emerging Jake impression of Chael Sonnen. that is coming out pretty nicely. So you saw the clip of us. Did you happen to see us do our thing?
Yeah, no, I watched you guys' podcast. I saw you guys' reactions and everything. It was
What'd
pretty
you
cool.
think?
I enjoyed it, man. Just guys hanging out and drinking, watching some jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely. All right. Because I gotta tell you, Cody told us, he's like, I saw it, and I was like, oh no. Like, it was not an up or down. It was a neutral. I'm aware it exists. And I was like, cool.
Yeah,
all right.
I was watching earlier.
Well, dude, I'm glad about that. I'm glad that we were able to provide some entertainment. And as I told him, I'll tell you, is we're watching it, and we wanted to get excited about something. So we were looking for those guys. And, no disrespect to people who win in overtime or anything like that, but we think that there's a special uniqueness in a sport that can be called boring to give props to those guys who get finishes within the rounds. Because you always feel like those guys are trying the extra mile to give you more bang for your buck,
Definitely. Yeah, that's where I'm at with that, man. Like, I like that there's an overtime rule set in place, but that's not my ultimate goal. I'm going in there to get a submission. I want to get my game plan going, stop him from doing what he wants to do, and end the match in regulation, which is always my goal.
Appreciate that, man. Well, let's start to transition into the deep cuts, because this is the first time I've ever got the opportunity to speak with you. So I'd like to know, where does your jiu-jitsu journey begin, man?
I started training in jiu-jitsu November of 2016 is when I got into it, but I've done a lot of sports all throughout my life. Football, wrestling, track being the main three. I did those every year growing up, and my favorite sport was wrestling, so I would stick to that all year. My goal was to be a state champion my senior year. I ended up falling short, and then the next year after that, I decided to go run track at Clackamas Community College here in Oregon City, and then I did that for 2 years, and then I wanted something on the mat again. I was missing that grappling feeling.
Let's stop right here, because I have a qualifying question here.
Okay.
So you're a wrestler background.
Yeah.
What make you, when in the element of COVID and you guys all have to be super dressed up, your opponent comes out in a singlet?
I like it, man. I enjoy it. It adds to the match. He can do what he wants.
Well, the reason why I'm asking is not like, oh, whoa. It's more of a, do you look at it and go, okay, is this guy going to be a little bit more wrestling based? Does it change any of your perception of the human being when they put on a singlet?
No, I'm confident in my wrestling. I've wrestled since I was little, but I did get to watch his last submission underground match, and I watched some of his work on his feet. And there's nothing special I saw about his wrestling, so it doesn't really change the game much for me. I think it's just some showmanship. I appreciate that.
Hey, man, I just have to ask, because as somebody who didn't wrestle, I know how hard it is to try and implement that into your game.
Definitely.
But we have a couple sponsors that supply singlets for whenever we do a special. It's called WWE BJJ every year, and it's a mix of professional wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and we have fun with it. But you swear when the guys put on the singlets to do the skit, their whole mentality changes. They become these people who are like, oh man, this just gave me more power. And I'm like, you're the same guy you were. You're gonna pull guard. Just don't think you're anything special by wearing that. So I didn't know if there was some wrestler PTSD that happens.
What was that?
I just didn't know if there was some wrestler PTSD that happens when you see a guy go in there and being like, well, I was going to pull guard, but now I'll stand up with this guy.
Oh, no, man. Back before all this COVID stuff was going on, we train wrestling a lot. We go takedowns, 2-3 times a week, so we're prepared for any situation.
Good, man. All right, so continue now. You say you're making it through, high school. You were looking for a way to kind of find your way back to the mats. How does Jiu-Jitsu enter there then?
So I was maybe midway through my second year of track at a community college up here, and then I started to get that itch for grappling again. So I hit up my old high school coach, who eventually got me in touch with. His name's Chris Standing. Then I sent him a text. And I told him I was interested in fighting, and he goes, "Oh, yo, I've been training at 503 West Coast Academy was the gym name before we switched to Brazilian Top Team." He said, "Yeah, I'm training here every day. We train guys to fight and come in, at these days I'll be here." So I hit him up, and then when I came into the gym, my initial goal was to be a fighter, and I've always been kind of the good kid in my life. I've never been in a street fight in my life, so I come in, this vanilla kid wanting to fight. My coach just laughed at me for a little bit, but I think it was really crucial in my journey, as in taught me a lot of skills, made me much tougher, when it comes to competing. And yeah, no, I appreciate it. And then after 4 fights, I fought 4 times in 6 months and kind of burnt myself out on it. Um, After that, I kind of took a little break. And then about a year and a half, 2 years ago is when I started really training and taking jiu-jitsu seriously. And from then, I've been traveling and competing and, just trying to get out there as much as I can and improve.
Excellent. I always like to ask this of people for the first time, which is, when did you fall in love with jiu-jitsu? Obviously, you come from a wrestling background, so there's going to be a learning curve that happens. But
definitely,
there's a moment when you want to pursue this, especially when you have MMA as a goal, but then you decide, no, this is where I want to be. When do you fall in love with jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, so when I came in, like I was used to that. Wrestling's like a lot of pressure. Those guys are going for 6 minutes as hard as they can. So I was kind of used to that training when I came into MMA. So I was doing well going to the fight camps. I ended up going 3-1 as an amateur, and then that's when I was kind of done with that because it's a hard life. Like I loved it, craziest thing I've ever done, most likely. But it's a tough life when you're in there sparring every day, and you got these fresh guys coming in throwing punches on you and stuff like that. But after I took a break, I started competing a little bit more in jiu-jitsu, and I'd say about, I think, January of 2019 is when I started, training full time. I started coaching, and I started really throwing myself at jiu-jitsu full time.
That's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah.
Because I look at that and I always wonder, how do we pull you guys away? Normally, we were getting to a point in the sport where some of our top guys were then just going to MMA. So we were having the reverse problem for a while where we're like, no, stay. I want you to stay here. Like Adolfo, I don't think you're going to be bad at UFC, but I'd like you to stay in jiu-jitsu, So
definitely, I know what you mean.
It's hard to watch somebody that and truly admire, push aside their dreams. So I don't want to tell them how to do their job or do what they're doing. But at the same point, I'm like, hey, listen, dude, I'm still trying to learn your left side passing. If you could stick around for a little bit longer, that'd be cool.
Yep, I know what you mean. But I think those guys, I think that's definitely the smart way to go when, you build your name up through jiu-jitsu and you're not fighting, 10 to 15 times as an amateur and getting a bunch of brain damage before that. So I think that's cool when, the higher level jiu-jitsu guys do cross over to MMA. But yeah.
That's good, man.
I think it's a safer way to go.
Absolutely. So let's say, I don't know if people know this, but it was something I saw on your Instagram. You just got your purple belt, though, in, what was it?
December.
December, right?
Yep. Yeah, correct. December was a pretty good month. I went to Worlds, Nogi Worlds in California. I got promoted to purple belt, and then I got to do Submission Underground, I think, 10 with my coach as a purple belt. That was a really cool month for me.
That's pretty cool, man. What does that look like when your coach says, hey, I want you to come do this tag team thing with me?
Hey, it's awesome, man. Me and him, he's one of my main training partners every day. So it was really cool to get to go into that together.
I mean, it's got to be pretty amazing. Like, not everybody gets that opportunity to have that bond with their instructors. Because a lot of the times you see instructors say, hey, listen, dude, I'm not competing, or in order to focus my attention on my students, I'm not going to do it because I want to put it on you guys. So you see a lot of that where sometimes students go, man, I really wish I would have seen that guy compete or do this.
Yeah.
You actually got to go in there with him and go to battle, which I think is pretty cool.
It's awesome. My instructor Gus, man, he travels, he competes with us. He's constantly learning, and then he's coming and teaching us this new things that he's learning. So it's awesome. It really helps our whole gym grow.
So tell me this, where exactly are you from? Because I think you were saying earlier that you were like, that's regional to you, like that's home, right?
Yeah, and I'm from a very small town called Colton, Oregon. I graduated with a class of like 46 people. I mean, maybe a couple thousand people in the town. Everyone knew everyone. So I always grew up with like small teams. My wrestling team my senior year had 4 people on it. So it was real small town.
Oh, yeah. Man. I can only imagine what those practices are like with 4 people then.
Yeah, my coach would actually bring in his brother, who was one of the only undefeated state champs that Colton would have. And he would come in almost every day my senior year and just beat up on me. So I can accredit him to making me much tougher my senior year.
I believe that. It's always great whenever you see at a gym when somebody brings somebody who goes, hey, you guys don't know about this guy, but I'm going to give a short introduction. And
Yeah.
everybody's like, yeah, that's cool. We love visitors. But then after a while, when you've been there to any sort of mat-based sport, you go, why did they bring them? That dick. I don't need that today, dude.
Definitely. Yeah.
Let me ask this. What has been your best advice that you've given to people who are making the transition from wrestling to jiu-jitsu? Because it isn't necessarily the world's easiest thing to figure out to be okay to be on your back for a little bit for a lot of these guys, you know?
No, definitely not. I'd say if you're making the transition, is that just really just like indulge in the life, man. Like train as much as you can, learn as much as you can. I mean, the moves are endless, right? They say this is like a chess match, so I'm trying to learn every move or multiple routes that I can get to put you in checkmate. So just really just watching videos and learning, really becoming a student of the sport.
Excellent, excellent. All right, let's ask about this because obviously, everybody's going through this ordeal. What has been the way that you've been able to stay sane? Because I know that training is kind of what it is right now, but how have you developed with your time off? Are you just watching more tape? Are you doing some workouts? Are you learning how to cook now? Like, what has been with the time that you've been given? What have you been making use out of?
Man, honestly, life hasn't changed much for me because I'm still working full time. Thankfully, I've had to work through all this. Shout out to my buddy for hooking me up with that. So I'm really thankful for that. And I really don't go out much anyways, so it's usually just me working. I'll work out on my own or with a buddy, and then I'll train in a garage with maybe one or two people every day. So it's mainly been the same for me. I think I thrive in this kind of environment. I don't know. I think it's been great.
Can I be so bold to ask what you do for a job?
Yeah, we've been building greenhouses for a farm.
Oh, nice, man. All right, that work's never gonna cease. So, if that's the case, what is the weather like out there? Do you just look at the weather report and go, "Oh, it's beautiful out"?
Man, it's 50-50 on whether it's going to be right or not. Most of the time, it's going to tell you it's going to rain, and then all of a sudden, it's a nice day. So, and it's really back and forth too. It's usually like sunny for a week, and then it rains for a week straight. So,
absolutely.
Today was pretty nice though, so that was nice.
So when they talk about like the experiences that you have, and you're kind of from a small town, has jiu-jitsu taken you out of the small town? Have you gotten to travel a little bit? Obviously, if you're coming out to California, we're a little bit of a culture shock. But where have been some other places that you've gone to compete or even fight at?
Fighting I've mostly done locally. I fought 3 times for Kevin Keeney's promotion, the FCFF. But I've gone to New York, I've gone to Dallas, San Francisco, Vegas, and this is all within the past couple years when I started really competing. But I mostly compete with the when I travel, it's for the IBJJF, so it's a points rule set. But if somebody wants to pay me to travel, pay me to compete, I'm willing to travel anywhere. So.
Do you have a favorite place that you've gone so far that your jiu-jitsu travels have made you enjoy the most yet?
I think New York was really cool. I actually I went out there in September for Pan Am's, but the day before I ended up tearing my PCL, so I had to go out there in a big old.
Wait, what? How the fuck did you do that?
It was a training accident. Actually, our last training session, the day before we were flying out, just kind of a freak accident. But I ended up taking that whole trip, keeping my legs straight in a big old brace.
Okay, let's tear this down bit by bit because this would be a lot detrimentally for me. It's before you get on the flight. The day before, you have something that goes wrong with your leg, and then when that happens, you get a little injury there. You can't compete, right?
Yeah.
Do you still tell yourself there's a chance you're gonna compete?
Man, in the back of your mind, it's still there. Like, it's gonna heal up by tomorrow. I'm gonna be fine. But I knew it was pretty done. Once I heard my knee pop pretty bad, it was pretty clear. But I paid for my tickets, paid for the Airbnb, all that. So I had to go.
Did you have other teammates going to compete?
Yeah.
Okay, so then it becomes all right. I'm gonna be there for my teammates. Because to me, sending you to New York to be like, well, I bought this, so I might as well go.
Showing up to New York broken.
It's a lot, but if that was the case, you get to experience the town. So what made you like it so much out that way?
I just loved all the lights, man. I loved going to downtown New York City and just going to all the streetcars, walking around. I spent the first day and a half on crutches because it was kind of hard to walk and put pressure on it. After that, I was walking though, but it was a great experience. I loved it. Got to meet some of my favorite grapplers while I was at Pan Am's watching everyone compete. So that was really cool.
Who did you meet?
Let's see, Gordon Ryan, Marcelo Garcia, Paulo Miao, and I think there's a couple others, but I know those three for sure.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marcelo essentially might as well just be mayor. Like, he's so nice and goes up and is very accommodating
really nice
with
guy.
everybody's time. It's a beautiful thing to see with that guy.
Yeah.
That's cool, dude. So New York City, I kind of get that.
Mm.
I'm also laughing because part of me realizes that of all places you can go when you're on crutches, the foot traffic in New York City is definitely a choice.
Yeah, it was rough.
Part of me wishes that you had just gotten a scooter and just said, to hell with it. I'm just going to be like literally in everybody's way and just start mowing them out.
Definitely should have. I took advantage of that when I go to the grocery stores though, so that's good.
That's good. Let me ask, what is your favorite competition moment been thus far in?
My competition?
Mm-hmm.
I got that's a good question. I got a few good ones. I'd say probably back in December, taking third at Nogi Worlds. That was a tough bracket going through that, but really proud of myself. Put a lot of hard work in and a really good camp into that tournament. So it was nice to come out with some hardware.
What is that experience like? Because I usually am at Nogi Worlds. I'm pretty sure this year I actually missed. It all starts blending together. Yes, I'm pretty sure I missed this year. What is that experience like? Because you say you're more of an IBJJF guy, and yet here you are at Submission Underground.
I mean, you can call me whatever. I'll do whatever style. Like I enjoy points. I can play that game. I believe I can beat anyone in that game as well. But if you want to go sub only, then I can go sub only as well. And I'm not afraid to give up a bad position. And I think I could fight out of that.
Do you have a favorite style or a favorite point set or rule set? Sorry.
I think I enjoy sub only just because it allows me to get a little more risky with my movements, and I don't have to like stop him from just passing my guard or almost getting into a position and getting an advantage on me.
I mean, I'll tell you from the audience's perspective, we tend to like submission only. It doesn't stop me. Well, I think what it does is, at its core, it's aiming to try and give you something.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to say that points don't, but I also don't fault the athlete to do what they need to do to become a champion. So I get that. Having said that, that's when you get the gentleman's agreements. That's when you get the closeouts, the wins by advantage, where all of us just go like, what? Oh my God. Could you imagine the Super Bowl, two teams who like each other just being like, no, we tie. Like, that's the thing that I try to figure out to tell these guys is there's a certain capacity that will always reach if that's the case.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But with submission only, you could literally tell people, listen, whoever wins gets this marker. And people will be like, I don't even want that marker, but I do. I'll fuck them up for that marker. And there's some weird thing that happens to their brain that I go, just the marker? Okay, well, hey.
Hey, man, I'm the same way. I got that competitive spirit. You put something on the line, I'm trying to win it.
Well, so a fun game that I do with a couple of my guys, especially if I know they got something big coming up, is I'm famous for putting no time on a clock and just go until subs kind of a thing. No,
I'm a fan. I even told Submission Underground I'm ready for it. If they want to do no time limit sub only, I'd do it too.
Bro, they're only at 5 minutes as is. I don't think they're going anywhere near no time limit. But the reason I do it is because, especially at the beginning parts of if I know they got a long road ahead, is I just like them to get in that mode of don't give up. Like, don't succumb to whatever's in your brain. Just stay focused and stay set. Like, I'm a pretty safe role, so it's pretty likely I'm not going to hurt you. But... hey, we'll go through. And we do a couple of those rounds, and it's usually early because I like to dial them back once they get closer to whatever they're competing at. So if they're, usually a 5-minute round that they're supposed to be competing at, I'll start them at 10. So it's like, dude, you've already done it. Like, you're good. You've done it twice now, so you're going to be fine. But one game that I like to play at the very end, and especially for the tight people in my inner circle, is I'll literally be like, all right, dude, I'm putting money on the line. And they're like, what? And I'll be like, I'll just go over. And I literally have gotten $1. And I've been like, whoever wins this gets this $1. This $1 has no meaning other than between me and you. That's it. And they'll literally try to murk me so that they can get that $1. And I'll be like, they were holding back that whole time. But I literally put one solitary $1 on the ground, and it changes everything.
Man, I love it.
Yeah.
That's how we are. We're all competitive.
And that's the whole thing. It is. I always tell people, like, I always want them to have the hardest rounds with us in the gym so that it's much easier for them. So however I can help to do that as a training partner,
Sure.
you know, that's what I'm
Those are the best kind of training partners.
Try to be, man. Because, you know, my main gig is doing this. And that doesn't mean I'm not a good resource or that I don't get to train with a lot of you guys who I interview, and then all of a sudden I learn something from them, and I go, oh, hey, I learned this. Like, I saw this guy compete like this. I think this is a really good thing for you. So I try to match that up. If that is the case, though, as we start to wind down, one of the couple things I did want to ask you was, I was trying to ask this of Cody as well, but I want to make sure you get the opportunity to do it, which is, we don't have events, per se. But I'm hearing rumblings that some events may come back in different capacities in the near future. If one of those people was looking at that event this weekend and maybe watching right now, make your pitch as to why you're one of those people. Because if you showed up this weekend, I'm pretty sure that means you're willing to show up at a number of other competitions in these next months as we figure out how things go. So make your pitch. Why should somebody put you on a card?
Oh, absolutely. I think that I bring a different style than a lot of people want to bring to the plate. I mean, I'm always looking to be explosive, and I'm always looking for the finish. And I think that you're not going to get a boring match out of me when I go and compete for your promotion. So I think that's why it'd be good to have me on your card.
Can I make a little note here?
Yeah.
Have you gotten this note before? Have you been told you got a similar vibe to one Sam Alvey?
No, actually, that's the first for me. But I know who you're talking about.
I've interviewed him. I know him. Friend of the show as well. There's just an irrepressible niceness about you that comes through. And I kind of want you to be a little bit, you know, I want to pull something out of you. It seems like you got
That'd be real hard, man. I'm nice through and through. Like, get that from my dad.
Jesus, we got to work on this. How are you able to stay so nice in a combat sport? I'll ask you that.
I don't know, man. It's just not in me to be mean to people. I mean, I can bring it out when it's ready. I don't know. I'm just competitive and nice, I guess.
Did you ever get into fights in school?
Nope, never been in a street fight.
Oh, that's right. You mentioned that up top. Okay, cool. Because I will be honest with you. We're different people. I never got into a fight in any of my schooling. But the difference was I had a smart mouth. So I would make fun of people and no one would fuck with me because I could make fun of them in front of a crowd. And suddenly, really wasn't a problem. Then on top of that, if they were going to do something, I was fairly durable. So I think they either figured, like, this has no point, or they just got embarrassed, or they just didn't care. Either way, I was like, I don't really want to fight anybody, dude. So now,
it's really not.
And so now I get people all the time who are like, hey man, you do that jiu-jitsu, you can really mess somebody up. And I was like, the whole point of it is to not.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying really hard not to, guys. Don't be dumb. I don't really need to do any of this. Well, that's really amazing, dude. I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about, you know, the people who got you set up for this, man. Who helped you get ready for this competition? Who do you want to thank? I know you thanked them when you were talking to Chael up above, but I really want to give you the opportunity to say your shout-outs, maybe sponsors, anything like that, to those folks who helped you get ready for this.
Yeah, first of all, I want to shout out my gym, Brazilian Top Team Happy Valley, of course. Everyone there has always got my back the whole way through. I love it. Hometown, Colton, Oregon, small town love. I mean, everyone there has been supportive as hell. It's been great. I don't like to name names, but I mean, my buddy Owen, my buddy Jack, thank you guys for being there every day, getting me ready for this competition. And yeah, they're going to be there for me, getting me ready for May 31st as well.
So you're already on that card.
Yeah. I talked to Heather, and Chael called me the other day personally, told me he'd get me on the card. So I am on the card. No opponent yet, but we'll get that figured out later.
That's dope, dude. Okay, man. That's great. That's what we're looking for here. As long as
Yeah.
he continues to look out for his folks that he's got there, and that means
Definitely.
more opportunities. That also means we're probably gonna drink and do it again. So
Perfect.
I'm gonna tell you this now. I'm meaner to the people I know. So now that I know you, I could probably say more about you because you roast the people you know. And that's why if anybody ever comes to us and they're like, I don't like this thing you said about us, I'm like, what did I say?
No, I got thick skin.
Oh, good. I mean, again, I'm going to expect you to be nice to me off air, too, because I'm going to be like, it's a facade. Behind the stage, he's actually a dick. He was yelling and threatening me off the air.
No, it doesn't.
But I wanted to give you the heads up to say, we look forward to watching you the next time. And I got to tell you, man, as somebody who also saw when you got your purple belt, I know you have those plans for like going at it and attacking that purple belt. And I feel for you and having a little bit of a speed bump in what we've got going on. But I do feel pretty confident that as we proceed and we get to whatever the next stage is, you're going to be pretty ready and you won't lose a step from where you're going. So any of those goals that you have for purple belt, I am very excited to see what they pay off for once it's all back to normal.
Thank you, man. Me too. I appreciate that.
All right, I'm going to do a little plug and then I'll chat with you off air in a second, but I'm going to close out the show, my man.
Cool. Sounds good. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
No problem. All right, here we go. Guys, I wanted to say thank you so much for watching us today. We want to give shine to two of the gentlemen who gave you their time, their souls, their attacks, all at Submission Underground this weekend. I got to say, it was a blast to do a very, very fun Let's Watch telecast. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Paige Van Zant watched it. You can too. I know that because we have record that shows she watched it, which I don't know why, but I mean, I can make a guess. But if she watched it, you're not too good for us. Anyway, I guess what I'm saying to you guys is add us on all the major social media platforms. I'm talking Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all of those. Give us some love. Also on Twitter as well, at Grappling Hour. And if you're so inclined, go over to Verbal Tapcast, because some people end up doing submissions that end up getting verbal taps. And then, when you give some love to all the people who watch our shows over here, then be sure to go ahead and check out the guys who were also on our telecast this weekend. This is Jordan Peitzman, Star-Lord, Josh LeDuc. Don't go to him, actually. I take that back. He's kind of a dick. And then go on over and give some love to our good friends over at... Who's the other one? It's Jordan, Josh, and... Who's that other one? Oh, Jake. Yeah, well, Jake's too nice, too. Anyway, that's going to do it for us here at Grappling Hour. We appreciate you guys watching. We hope you're staying safe. We hope you're staying stimulated. And more than anything, we look forward to training with you guys. We'll see you on the mats eventually.